In our world today, you'd agree with me that anxiety and depression and other mental health conditions are on the rise. And with all the social and economic challenges that especially young people are facing now, I can't say, or I don't think you can say that this is surprising to you. And we all know that with severe depression comes thoughts of self-harm and suicide. On the 10th of September this year, just last Sunday, we celebrated or we observed World Suicide Awareness Day. Today on the show, we're going to continue that conversation, and today we're talking about suicide prevention. You might have heard a friend say, I'm so tired of life, Charlie, I wish I could just end it all. You might have read a WhatsApp status that someone you know put up talking about how tired they are about life. We've come to learn that all of these things could be signs of a person having suicidal thoughts. Today, we're going to be talking about suicide prevention, and we've got Dr. Damlola Okusaga Arthur in the studio here with us. She's a resident in psychiatry, and she's going to be telling us all that we need to know about how to help ourselves and the people in our lives should they have or harbor suicidal thoughts. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So last Sunday we observed Suicide Awareness Day. Did you do any particular things at Accra Psychiatric Hospital to observe it?
Well, it was a Sunday, so we had like a regular emergency and OPD services. But Mental Health Authority marked the day with an event in Kumasi talking about suicide prevention. Our chief executive, Prof. Pinaman Apal, was there, as well as other senior colleagues. So that was done, but I couldn't go, unfortunately.
Okay. How serious is the problem in Ghana?
Okay, so good morning to your viewers, first and foremost. Suicide is a big problem. It's a public health concern in Ghana and actually all over the world, because it's estimated that every 40 seconds someone dies from suicide. Someone completes suicide and loses their life. And it's basically, you know, as we all know, is a deliberate attempt or is a deliberate act of ending one's life. So all over the world, it's been reported that about 800,000 people die every year from suicide. In Ghana, there are some studies that show that about 1,500 people die every year from suicide. But Mental Health Authority data has shown, or it has been observed, or it has been noticed that about 777 people attempted suicide in 2020, and these numbers have been rising every year. So as at last year, I think number was about 902, and with completed suicides, that means people that actually died from suicides, the number has also been increasing steadily with, I think the last year it was about 92 or so, or 91. And as at June 2023, about 48 people have already died from suicide.
This year?
Yes.
In June?
From January to June 2023, about 48
people.
Yes, and that's more than half of the numbers that we had last year. So,
what do you think accounts for this increase in number?
Well, I mean, first I want to state that it's grossly underreported. Suicide is grossly underreported, so I'm sure that even the numbers are way higher than what is being reported because of the, you know, cultural, religious, you know, coloration about suicide and the whole stigma that people suffering from mental health conditions suffer anyway. So, but for the increase in the numbers, I think it's due to, some of it I can attribute it to an increase in awareness, an increase in data collection. So that's why we're having more numbers being reported of suicide. But also there are different risk factors, there are different factors that contribute or that make one vulnerable to committing suicide. So some of these are psychosocial, which means social factors that influence people's thoughts and behavior. So finances, family dynamics, personal issues as well, you know, relationship breakdown, all of that can make one vulnerable to committing suicide, as well as having a previous history of a suicide attempt or a family history.
If I may come in, and I just want to understand this better, because of course you've talked about how about 48 people have committed suicide per the reports.
Yes,
but I'm sure that there have been some cases where, of course, they attempted, it wasn't successful, and those patients have been brought to you to counsel. What has been the common denominator in all of this with everyone who's attempted? You're talking about psychosocial and family, etc. But what is that present reason why all of them, for some reason, will still want to take their lives?
Okay, so actually, it's on a case-by-case basis, so no two cases are really the same. So we don't really, or I can't really say for certain that there is an underlying factor that runs through every case.
I'm asking this because, not to cut you, I'm asking this because I had a conversation with another clinical psychologist, and he says that if someone says, or if you hear that someone has committed suicide today because they owe someone, don't think that that's the reason why they actually committed suicide. It's probably a number of recurring events from their childhood up until the point where they felt they couldn't take it anymore. So there's always something from their past that leads them to the point where they feel like they cannot continue living anymore. That's what I'm asking, that is there like a common denominator so that we know that even for every single person who commits or attempts to commit suicide, it's really not because of the current problem that they're facing, but something they may have encountered in the past.
Okay, so one of the major risk factors for committing or attempting suicide is a pre-existing mental health condition. And it's been estimated that the lower and middle income countries like Ghana have like 75% of the burden of untreated or undiagnosed mental health conditions. So there are so many people that are walking around that are probably here or probably in our community that have pre-existing mental health conditions. They've not been diagnosed, they've not been treated, and they just need something to trigger or
who is prone to having a mental health condition?
Okay, so actually everyone, anyone can develop a mental health condition at any period in time, but if there is a family history of a mental illness, I mean, it's a risk factor. And also if there's a stressful life event, like maybe a loss of any type, maybe a loss of a person close to the individual, or a loss of finances, or a loss of job, and then also substance use, harmful use of psychotropic substances can also predispose you or make you vulnerable.
How do I know, how do I know that I have a mental health condition? Because I could be sad one minute, happy the next minute. And from the way you're saying it, do I just assume that because I have, you know, all these very different emotions within a short period, I may be suffering some kind of mental health problem?
So to be sure or to really ascertain that you have a mental health condition, it's best for you to seek help from the medical professionals. So medical doctors that have specialized in psychiatry, or even general practitioners can see something or take a history from you, have a conversation with you, do something that we call a mental status examination, you know, ask you further questions and all, and then diagnose you or refer you to a psychiatrist.
Yeah, but like when you have malaria, sometimes you feel feverish, you have a headache, so you know something is off. Maybe you try to treat it with drugs, it doesn't work, and that's why you go and see a doctor. Now, when it comes to mental health, how do I then know that where it's gotten to, I need to go and see a doctor? Whatever it is I'm feeling, I need the help of a medical professional.
Okay, so basically when you see that there has been a change in your thought process, in your behavior, for example, you've noticed that now you are sleeping poorly, you're not able to sleep like before, maybe you're having difficulty falling asleep, or you're waking up too early, or you're having difficulty maintaining sleep. That means you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're having difficulty going back to sleep, or your appetite has suddenly reduced for no apparent reason. It's not like you're fasting, it's not like you're on a diet or whatever, but suddenly you don't feel like eating like you used to, or you have a decline in your productivity, you don't want to go to work, or even if you go to work, you are unable to really produce that output that you used to give on a normal day.
Maybe I'm not enjoying the work I'm doing. Does it necessarily have to be a mental health problem?
No, but like if there is a drastic change compared to your previous states, then
a lot of
warning sign.
The reported suicide cases, according to research, suggest that anxiety and depression is a major causative factor. Now, a lot of young people have anxiety now. Maybe it's because now we know what anxiety is. We are more aware of it when you're experiencing anxiety. Depression is on the rise, and we are more aware of depression as opposed to sadness or just fatigue and tiredness. How does one get help if they feel that, okay, I'm suffering extreme anxiety or depression. I know there are clinical psychologists everywhere, but then again, most people will not think, oh, I'm depressed or I'm suffering some kind of depression. First thing I need to do is to go to the hospital to see a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist. What are the things that one can do, even at home or in your personal life, in your day-to-day, to help manage depression or anxiety if you realize you're suffering them?
Okay, so I just want to quickly state that there is, anxiety and depression are both English words as well as clinical diagnosis. So if you're having a feeling of impending doom, you feel like something bad is about to happen, you feel fearful for no apparent reason, or even if there's a reason, but the fear is exaggerated compared to what is on ground, or you're just feeling jittery and all of that, yes, then you are experiencing some anxiety symptoms. When you experience something like that, it's important for you to talk to someone first. I mean, there's this adage that says a problem shared is half solved or something.
When you say someone, do you mean anyone or a doctor?
No, so someone that you trust first.
Okay.
Because it's not everyone that has access to even clinics, basic clinics, I mean general medical practice. It's not everyone that has access to that. So if you notice that something is going on and you're not happy about it, you're having this recurrent thoughts of, anxiety, you feel sad all the time, persistently. So earlier Bella mentioned something about feeling sad, for a bit and then coming out of it. So that's not depression. So depression is you feeling persistently sad, majority of the day, most days in the week, for about 2 weeks or more, then that's when we can actually diagnose you with depression. So when you see that you're having all of these symptoms, it's good for you to talk to someone that you trust. So a good friend, I mean, for a lot of us in Ghana, we are very religious. So you could talk to like your pastor, or if you're a student, you can talk to your guidance counselor or your parents or whoever, so that someone else can be aware of what is going on. So sometimes when you are giving some pieces of advice or you are giving some things that we call coping strategies, you are able to sort of come out of that situation. But if you see that it is persistent and despite the changes that you are putting in place, or maybe you are managing your time better, you're trying to sleep better, you're trying to eat better, it's still not improving, then you need to seek medical help.
What are some of the coping strategies that you can employ? Well, aside talking to someone who understands and would listen, what else can you do?
Okay, so there's something in psychology that is called positive reframing. So that means when you have this bad thoughts, or when you tend to see things as all gloom and doom, very dark, no way out, it's essential for you to at least pick out something that has gone on right. I mean, we are humans. Yes, we have varied experiences and all, but it's highly unusual for someone to be having a series of unfortunate events happening at the same time, all the time. I mean,
nothing
life,
good.
Yes, nothing good at all. Life is in a way that you get the good with the bad. So when you get the bad, it's important for you to also seek out the good, even if it might not be staring you in the face. I mean, you have to consciously seek out the positive things and then focus on them.
Okay. Now, because this conversation is on suicide prevention especially, we're going to be activating the phone lines to allow you to call in if you have had suicidal thoughts, or if you know someone who has exhibited signs of self-harm or are harboring suicidal thoughts. You can call in and talk to the doctor live on the show, and she'll be able to offer you some help. The phone lines are on the screen now, so you can call us now. We've got our first caller on the line. Hello? Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me there.
All right, you're on with the doctor. What would you like to ask?
Yeah. I want to share my experience.
Yes, sir.
I think about last month or so. I've been going through some a lot. So I don't know. But I'm 20 years. I'm 20 years old.
You're
so
20.
About 2 weeks ago. Yes, 2 weeks ago I checked my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was like I think it's 135. And I don't know what is going on. But it's not this like, but for like few weeks ago, like I've not been happy. I don't know with what is going on around. Things have just changed in my environment. So I don't know if the blood pressure, or I just want to ask if the mental, I don't know what to do next. Like, I'm just confused with my blood pressure. I don't even know who to talk to, sir, because...
Aside your blood pressure, are you feeling anything emotionally? How are things in life?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think you got the question, but aside your blood pressure, is there anything that you're feeling? Is there anything wrong? Are you having thoughts in your mind about things going bad?
I think we lost
like,
him.
I think as a young guy, like me, the problem I have now is just thinking about the future, like the future ahead of you, like having some plans on what to do in the future, like you get all those kind of things. So whereby it seems like whereby you're progressing in life, and whereby you feel like you're progressing, then things just come your way. Then it's just like what is going on? It feels like there's no progress again. So everything that is my thoughts every day.
All right. Thank you for calling. The doctor will address this problem for you. That's Arthur.
Yes, please. So thank you for calling in. It's very important that you voiced out your worries and your concerns. So basically what I picked from what he said is that he is having thoughts about the future. He's worried about the future. He's concerned about the future. And it's like there's no hope. Things are not progressing. I mean, that's one of the depressive symptoms that we ask for when we are assessing someone that we think has a mood disorder, in this case depression. So it's called, we ask about a feeling of hopelessness, feeling like there's no hope for the future. So it's very important that he mentioned that. And basically what I would just want to tell him is that he should try the positive reframing, try and seek out the things that make him happy, the few things that may have gone right in his life, rather than dwelling on the negative. And he should also employ healthy coping strategies like planning and trying out time management if what is happening is due to maybe a lack of time management on his part or a lack of planning, and that's why things are not really working out, the way he intends them to work out. Then he should work on that if he can. And then I would also say that if you notice that it's persistent and you are beginning to have thoughts of wanting to end it all, or you feel like life is no longer worth living, I would encourage you to call the National Suicide Prevention Helpline. It's 0800-678-678. 0800-678-678.
How often do people call this number? Do they call all the time?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we have a call on the line from Teshi. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for calling us. What's your name, madam?
Yeah, my name is Knowledge.
Knowledge. Okay. Share
Yes,
with us. Do you
ma'am.
have any concerns?
Okay, my issue is, for some time now, with no reason, I feel sad. Yes, I feel angry with myself, not anybody doing anything to me. And it has been a real occurrence. It has been happening. So, sometimes I think, like, what's going on and all that, I don't get it.
How long have you been feeling like this?
Yeah, it's been for months now.
Did something happen a few months ago that led you to feeling like this constantly?
Yes, okay. It started happening when I was pregnant. But a few months down the line, I had a miscarriage.
Oh.
Yes, so I would just be there. Then I feel so angry with myself.
Oh,
Like how maybe someone does something to you that hurts you so much.
Yeah.
But in my case, nobody does anything to me. Sometimes going to work, I just feel angry and I tell myself I'm not going to work. I'm not doing anything.
Did you get any psychological help or counseling after you miscarried?
No.
You didn't? Okay.
No.
Doc, I noticed you were nodding the whole time.
So I wanted to actually ask the question that you asked her about getting psychological or counseling or any psychological help or assessment after the loss. I mean, it's normal. Grief is normal. So when you lose someone or you lose something dear to you, it might be a person, it might be an opportunity or whatever, it's normal to grieve. But when grief starts to affect your productivity, you are constantly having thoughts of self-reproach like she had, where she feels it's her fault or you know, she has done something and she's so upset, she's so angry with herself, she doesn't want to go to work. So that is when we need to start exercising caution, or that's when we need to be cautious. So for the situation, once again, talking about coping strategies. So I mentioned planning, I mentioned positive reframing. Another coping strategy is called acceptance.
Okay.
So where acceptance means that understanding that something has happened, and then when the end was not what you expected, it wasn't what you wanted, where it has happened, and then you have to accept that it has happened. And then another coping strategy is called action. So taking action. So what can I do to prevent this thing from happening again? What have I been told to abstain from, or what have I been told to incorporate into my life? What are the measures that I have to take to prevent this from happening? So being active and, you know, making efforts to prevent a recurrence of the bad experience, it's also a healthy coping strategy that you can employ. And I would also say that you should see the nearest
clinic.
The nearest clinic, the nearest government hospital to you. We are trying, or we are making efforts to ensure that there's a mental health unit in at least every district, or at least every district health center or something should have a mental
Now,
health.
since we're talking about suicide prevention, and let me ask you this.
We have a caller.
We have a
so
call
let's
on the
speak
line.
to the
Okay,
caller
all right.
first of all. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Thank you for joining us. Please go ahead and share with us your challenge.
Okay, please, I have a sister. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Carry on.
All right. I have a younger sister. She's the calm type we know.
Okay.
But right now, she doesn't get close to anybody at all. And anybody that comes her way, she'll insult the person. And, I mean, her behavior has totally changed.
How?
And the way she dresses has changed, talk to people has changed. And, I mean, we don't understand anything at all.
How long has
So
she been acting like
if
this?
she's depressed or... Hello, can you hear me, please?
How long has she been acting like this?
It's been 2 years now.
Have you taken her to the hospital within this period?
I just spoke with the mother 2 weeks ago that we met at a funeral. So I talked to her mother, who is supposed to be my auntie. And she's saying it's been 2 years now and they haven't done anything about it. And it's very quite disturbing us. So we don't know what to do now because she doesn't get close to anybody at all. The moment you call her name, then she becomes violent. She will start to shout at you. Where do you know her from? Somebody we just started from the structure now. And we don't know what is happening. So if you can help us with this, so if there is a way forward, you can just tell us to.
All right, thank you.
And one thing the mother told me was, he was dating a guy for so many years. And they had a child. Which the guy came with a parent to just do this knocking.
Yeah.
So there and then the guy's mother said, they are the fancies and we are the airways. So the guy mother is saying the fancy doesn't click with the airways, so they are not supposed to get married. So in less than 6 months, the guy has gotten married to a lady, a different lady. So somebody just called my cousin, this lady I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So she just went straight to where the wedding is going on at Kaswa to just do some fake allegations. I mean, she was angry that this happened.
And that's why she's...
This thing started.
Okay, so that's why she's been acting like this for the last 2 years. Okay.
Please, I can't hear you.
I'm saying, so that happened before, you know, the change in behavior in the last 2 years.
Before to understand what she's going through now.
Okay, Doc. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Ask the doctor for me. We just want to know the solution for it. Thank you so much.
Doc.
Thank you, madam. So, from the last thing that she said, there was a trigger. There was something that happened, which is also a loss.
Yeah.
So, a relationship breakdown or something. And then she started experiencing or she started exhibiting this change in behavior. So, well, what I would say is everyone is entitled to act, a bit out of character when something like this happens, or when they are grieving, or when there has been a loss, when there has been a significant traumatic event in their lives. But the issue is when it is persisting beyond months, and in this case 2 years, it is high time she had a mental health assessment at any of the psychiatric facilities. So because she mentioned that she's being violent and she's, shouting at family members.
She's had a total change in personality.
Exactly. She's isolated. She's withdrawing from people. I mean, I cannot diagnose her over the phone. It's unethical, but I would say that she really needs to get assessed. And if there's need for medication, she has to be on medication. The best time for her to have been assessed and to have been started on medication was 2 years ago. The second best time is now.
Okay. Now, on suicide prevention, Doc, one of the things we've come to learn is that when a person says that life is difficult, I'm tired, I want to end it all, these are signs of a person who's contemplating suicide. And at that point, you're supposed to get them help or talk to them or help them feel and realize that they're loved and everything will be all right and talk them through it and all of that. But what do you do when people constantly do this? So I've come to learn that there are people who would constantly express the thought of suicide and actually verbalize it and say, I want to kill myself, I want it to be over. And you probably help them through it or whatever, they feel better, and then soon after they do it again. Is it possible for a person to be perpetually suicidal? Or is there something else happening when a person does that?
Okay, so if someone...
Doc, make this brief for us so we can wrap up if you don't mind.
Yes, please. So if someone seems to be perpetually suicidal, you have to investigate why the person is like that. So if the person has expressed thoughts of self-harm or suicide, then the person should be assessed and a diagnosis should be made, medication should be started, psychological interventions put in place and all of that. But if the person seems to always be asking, always saying that they are going to end their lives and all, I think the person has to be further investigated. So the person has to, once again, go back to hospital and we have to ensure that, it's not like there's maybe a personality disorder occurring at the same time as depression or whatever.
Okay.
It has to be investigated, basically. But it's better to err on the side of caution and not think that the person is seeking attention when they mention that
Thank you,
they're
Doc,
suicidal.
for joining us this
you.
morning. And we have one more conversation, but I would like to say thank you to Dr. Damilola Okusaga Arthur. She's a resident at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, resident doctor, and I'm sure we'll be having these conversations as we move along, and so do share your concerns with us, and she dropped some numbers for you to call as well, just so you can also speak to a health professional. We'll be back, don't go anywhere. We have one last conversation, we have some birthday messages to also give out, and after that we'll wrap up. Don't go anywhere.